video games. Now, I never got into these except the commentary one, but I'll get to that when I get to YouTube commentaries. But for video games, this is something that's gonna happen way, way later. Because unlike movies or any of that stuff, well, everyone says that you need a capture card or anything to do all this, and to me, it's really not important. Video games on the video games on the other hand, I really do need a capture card for these because since I'm the one playing them. You see, playing the game and recording it at the same time and trying to do your best to think of the best ways you can talk about during the gameplay is very difficult. Especially that I might be holding the camera and playing the game. And no, this is not my video game footage, this was someone else's, so I give credit to the person who is completely playing this game. My point is that doing a capture card on a video game is very important since you're playing it, and the worst of it all is just how the people can feel interest into the game or the person in general. Let me tell you a story on how I got into Alpine and all that Twitch stuff. The very first video that I ever saw of Alpine was Chucker Conroy in his LP of The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, episode 67. This is what caught my attention on I want to be like him and play the video game Wind Waker because it was the game in 2010 what I really want, but unfortunately my parents won't be able to get it because this was done in 2010, and 2010 is really the year where Xbox 360, PS3, and Wii are literally the only current gaming consoles to buy video games. Now, things have completely changed years later ever since I watched movies and reviews off of anything. Now, Alpine was one of the first things I want to do on YouTube. However, little did I know that doing all this stuff takes a lot of skill. I was 11 years old when I saw this kind of stuff, and to me, nowadays it just feels old and not interesting anymore. Now, Chucker Conroy is doing LPs right now, and he's never gonna stop, and for all I know, he's pretty much one of the only ones that can make LPs better again. My point is that doing these kinds of stuff is very difficult because you need your style of humor, even though if you don't need any humor, and your style of how you play the game and give your information to the people. And the problem with that is that everything is already exposed. People already talked about this. Even he talked about it back then. And doing it now, it's just way too late. Even the 2013 re-release HD version doesn't make up because it's 2007 right now, and by looking at it, everything has already been need to be said. Well, except for newcomers, but that's a completely different story. Let's talk about reviews. Reviews is something that can be very easy to do and pretty much better than doing an LP of them. However, the issue with that is that the material that you need to do needs to be way, way better. And no, it's not gonna be like a AVGN style review where he puts a lot of depth and care into all of the videos that he does, especially non-AVGN stuff. The issue with that, but it really doesn't really affect the ideas of what I'm gonna do on which game I have. You see, the games that I have are completely cartoon and movie licensed. And the games may be good, but they're on PS2 and I don't own a Xbox 360 or PS3 back then. And I was lucky that the PlayStation 2 can manage to survive for a couple of years until 2011. And my point is that these games, I have more of these, but they're not like Final Fantasy games or any of that kind of stuff. They're just basically licensed games. As for Nintendo, man, it's very hard to explain about games like these. I mean, games like the Wii U, like Zelda games and Super Mario games, they're basically great games, and people really want to buy those on the systems. But do you want to know what the collection I have for the Wii U? It's only 4. And all 4 of these you see are my collection of the Wii U. The reason why I want to get a Wii U is because of this game. And also these 2 games. As for this, I had no plans. It just came with a box. Now, the reason why I stopped buying more video games is because, for one, they're very expensive. And second, I pretty much need to save that for later. Also, I might be buying retro games in the future, but that'll be during the time when I'm really famous and my Twitch career is pretty much gone off. My Twitch career can be much better and much more cooperative if I'm doing it right. Yes, I know Twitch isn't all about video games, but playing video games on there is much more better. Anyway, it's time to get back to the stuff that I saw after the LP of Sugar Conroy's Wind Waker. Now, I've seen a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people who did a lot of video games, abridged series and all that stuff. However, abridged series, I'm pretty much never going to do that because that's just way too hard to be very funny and very entertaining. I'm not good at comedy. But anyways, the video game things, I wanted to have like videos of me and my friends wanted to play video games and stuff like that. However, the friends I have at school aren't like the friends that you have. I'm not going to say any of my friends because I want to keep them private and completely want to stay out of any of this YouTube stuff. My point is that playing video games with other fans is something I want to do. And as for reviewings, on the other hand, teaming up with someone can be fun and entertaining, but it might be making the video way longer than I thought. Also, the people that I look at, by looking at them right now, things have changed a lot. I mean, they're older and they have a lot of money to know what to do with the technology they have. I mean, they have the disk drive, like Harper Games have the disk drive, and they're really well, and I really doubt I'm ever going to have one because not only is it really expensive, but another thing is that I'm not interested in buying the disk drive anymore like I was in 2012 when I saw these guys. And as for other LPOs, they have their own style, but I just don't like the humor that much. I mean, they're really not that... they'll have their style of humor, but I just don't like them. Now, why am I talking about all this? Is because I want to be like them. I mean, I can try to be funny, but I can't try to be like super annoyingly funny like Josh Jepson. Yes, I actually don't like his LPs because his humor just goes way too far with his B-words and stuff like that. But anyways, video games is something that is not getting a month on its own. It's gonna probably be happening way later than you think because of everything that's happening. And these aren't all the games I have. I still have plenty of them. And just so you know, I have other games like Final Fantasy VII, and I got it 2 years ago and I still didn't finish it. Why? Because I'm completely burned out of video games. I mean, these video games are great, but me getting burned out is always a thing that happens to me. I always get burned out a lot of stuff to the point where I just pretty much gave up. And then maybe with my interest again, I'll go back to them and maybe my fire will be back on. But other than that, video games will be happening way later in my future of my life. Anyway, I'll see you next time with WWE and wrestling.